The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Literally, I could have went into the archives of this show and got you sound bites from the past 5 or 6 years to do this broadcast, but I didn't. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you had a good week behind you. Boy, we had some interesting developments, didn't we, throughout the week? Our boy Trump up there, he decided to sign a bill, a massive bill of spending again, that is going to raise the debt ceiling. Oh boy, isn't that fun? We've got so much to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't know if we're going to get it all in this 60 minutes. And I'm going to attempt to keep the voice at a minimum. We don't want to jack up the blood pressure. We're already going to make some people who are listening, and I believe they're going to be listening because of some of the events that happened this week. So we don't want our blood pressure to be going up when we know we're going to be driving other people's blood pressure up. So before we get into the meat of the show and the heart of the matter here, I had some thoughts of, some of the things that developed throughout the week. And I'm going to give it to you, and I wrote them down here, even though I could probably give it to you right off the top of my head. I want to make sure we got all these points brought up. First thing is the harassment for anyone, not a Dem, is real. I'm telling you. We saw how politicians couldn't go eat in restaurants without people surrounding them and yelling at them and causing a ruckus. We now are seeing it trickle down to us little guys and the harassment we get for just posting stuff on our Facebook page. I mean, again, people who have been longtime listeners of this broadcast understand that I'm of the viewpoint that my Facebook page is very much like my front yard. And I get to post whatever signs I want in my front yard, and I'll let other people post in my front yard unless it becomes excessive. Because not only is it usually a person who's a little bit more fanatical, but it's somebody who harasses the heck out of either me or other people. And to be honest, most of us don't want to have 9,000 notifications from a person on a post that didn't create the post in the first place. If you have so much to say, you go say it on your page. But with the sheeple that follow the Democrat Party, it's a lot more on that side. It's so prevalent on the left. It happens a little bit on the right, but the fanatics tend to be on the left when it comes to harassing people. And this servile nature that they have towards the Dems has gotten so bad that the average person can't even make a single post on their own Facebook page without facing some sort of reprisal. It would be nice if most of these people just ignored posts that they didn't agree with or they didn't like, but they can't do that. That is something that is beyond their nature. We just had one on our page, and it's unfortunate because I really was trying to like this guy. He had done a great job. He had done a great job helping promote the Banger Music Awards. And I was on good footing with him. I liked the guy. He was, he supported the show, at least the music side of the show. But then, because the stuff I post isn't all about music, we are much more diverse than that, ladies and gentlemen. Because I posted something that wasn't that, it was the news of the day. And he had a predetermined response for any post that might have fit inside of a category. And he would do that very often. It was after the music awards, it was at least two weeks. Even during the music awards, we had a private conversation where he expressed his dire hate of the president. Hate of the president. And pretty much anybody who follows him could be good people, but he didn't care because they like Donald Trump better than they like anybody he likes. So they must be bad people. So he has disdain for all of them. There are some other people that posted recently. You see, it's becoming prevalent. It's becoming very prevalent that people on the left have a initiative to either deflect or attack or just try to publicly harass people who do not agree or who do not believe with their beliefs. And it's at a fever pitch. And these people can do it to a lot of people and get away with it, but you can't do it to me because I've been around way too long. And I know what the blatant echoes of the Democrat Party are. You want to know why? See, this is gonna enlighten a few of you, especially you on the Democrat side. Maybe you Republicans as well. But I receive all the emails from both parties. I know what the strategies are because I got to be part of their mailing list. You see, you got to know what these people are doing to be informed enough to form a coherent show and to talk about the blatant disregard of anybody who does not believe in the mainstream popular view. And right now, the Democrats, because they won an election, are feeling very brave right now. They're feeling very brave. And they send out their little marionettes out there. And the guy I had to ban, even though I didn't want to ban, I gave him the option. This is where I was going. I gave him the option. I was like, he had already posted a few times, and most of it were talking points about dollar amounts. Obviously, not a listener of the show. He's going to post on stuff that I post, but he's not aware of what I do on this broadcast here and where my position is. So he was arguing the money. This money's going here and this money's going here. To me, the guy who thinks the government spends too much money. And as we saw with the omnibus bill, omnibus. They spent a whole lot of money and it went all over the place. Couldn't find any money for the wall, but now I think that it wasn't meant to be that way, that they had a plan to have a national emergency. And that's something we'll be getting into the later we go into this broadcast. So I had to ban the guy because after I called him out. See, I asked him, I says, okay, dude, this article that I posted and then what you rebutted in your comments had nothing to do with each other. And I would read it here online, ladies and gentlemen, but you can go to the John Lebang Facebook page and read it yourself. It's right there. But you can read the article and then you can read his rebuttal, and you can see his rebuttal had nothing to do with the article at all. It was just talking points from the Democrat Party on how much was spent, to help the border security, in a bipartisan deal. Bipartisan, we'll get into that as the show progresses as well. We have there's so much on the agenda that I'm probably going to be jumping all over. I had some talking points that I wanted to bring up to you, and then I got distracted with this subject. But I think this is a big thing because I think he's going to be listening. I hope he's going to be listening because I have nothing personal against him, unlike him, who, after I called him out, I asked him a clear question. I says, what paragraph are you talking about, dude? I wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. And he goes, it's in there. And I'm like, where? What paragraph? If he read the article that I posted and his rebuttal was based on the article that I posted, then your rebuttal, what is it referring to in the article? Because the article, ladies and gentlemen, was about 5 things that was really bad about the omnibus bill. 5 things. And what he was talking about was the spending and this and all the things that he thinks is good. We spent this much on border security and this and that and the other thing, blah, 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 blah. Spent a whole lot on other things too. Whole lot on other things as well. So the guy came back at me. See, I gave him, I'm like, all right, dude, that's it. I have to call you out because all you're doing is posting talking points. You didn't really read the article. And in calling him out, I said, listen, dude, let's keep it music between us. I gave him the opportunity not to get banned. In fact, I believe the words were like, let's do us both a favor and keep it music between us. Well, I left Facebook because I have other things to do than to hang out on social media all day. I have a show to prep for. I come back a couple hours later, 3 maybe, and the dude, I swear, he's like Morty King from the Brewster's Millions movie. Go look that up, Mike. Morty King. So Morty King had 5 or 6, maybe even 7 different posts after mine. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? I've been doing this too long to understand that these people who are like this, who are filibustering on your page, they're trying to shut you up by talking over you, by outposting you on your page, my front yard. That's how I look at my Facebook pages and my Twitter pages. It's my front yard. I post out there. If I let you post, don't overdo it. And then don't be a jerk on top of it because now I'm a hater because I called them out. But you see, when you call somebody out and the arrow hits the target, people usually get very angry. And people on the left in particular tend to then, because they're keyboard Nazis, post after post after post. They can't stop because they're rage typing at that point. You hit them square in the nose with the truth. You called them out for it. They didn't like it. So what they're going to do is go hog wild on your page So I ended up banning him. And you want to know the best part of this, ladies and gentlemen? This guy was so fanatical. That he has a second Facebook account. Probably because he gets banned a lot. That's my opinion. But he has a second Facebook page so that he could come back to my page and comment after blocking him on his other account. So I blocked that one too. And he'll keep posting. See, I knew it. I could call this guy a mile away, so I didn't know he had a second Facebook page, but I did know that he had a Twitter page that was there. So I made sure to block him there after I blocked him on Facebook. He just got around that by having a second Facebook page. I wonder how many different social media pages he has per platform. Be very interesting. That would tell you that he probably doesn't have a whole lot of friends, and that's why he posts so much, because he's got to get attention somewhere. We've got to take a quick time out, ladies and gentlemen. First segment, down the drain. So much more. The border deal, the emergency, the omnibus bill, so much coming your way. And fake news happens again in the mainstream media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back. Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
And it's so much fun. Why you keep talking? Oh, am I not supposed to? No. Oh, back to John.
All right, welcome back, folks. So we're going to get into the big omnibus bill, the border crisis, the national emergency, so much going on. You know, this all happened, and I did a video earlier in the week, just a real short video. That's where I noticed Mike had a second account, because he came to harass me on that video. He was mocking me. Why wouldn't you think I would ban you if you're mocking me on my own page, dude? Who's being the jerk? Who is the one hating? So Trump, he had words, and his indications were very clear, ladies and gentlemen. And for all sides to allow this national emergency situation to happen, for the Democrats to not put enough money in the budget to avoid this situation, and for the Republican Senate to go along with it, and for the president to sign this garbage bill, which unbelievably now outspends Obama and George W. Bush. Can you believe it? Here's a little clip from Trump. Here's a little clip from the president talking about overspending as a president.
We have a tremendous debt. We're at $17 trillion, a number that was unthinkable. You do have a debt ceiling because they don't want to go above a certain amount. Now, the thing should have been looked at, in all fairness, during the Bush administration and certainly during the Obama administration, because it's gone through the roof. And I am a fan of the debt ceiling. I think you do want to keep a lid on it, but they've totally lost control, Larry. Totally lost control.
Now, for all sides to allow this to happen has got me so... my feelings are beyond reproach at this moment. The president didn't do this alone, so all you Democrats out there, Nancy Pelosi, all the ones, the ACLU are filing the suits, all you, stop it. The president didn't do this alone. He had ancillary support in the House and the Senate. They all colluded. This was a conspiracy theory to have a national emergency because they didn't want to agree on anything. They didn't want to agree on $5 billion for the president. Now he gets $8 billion because how things worked out, unless he's stopped, of course. Now, why would Trump sign this bill if he was just going to declare a national emergency anyways, to get 1 billion extra for the wall? Is that what it's for? Down to money? The man who complained about Obama spending too much money? I mean, that's not surprising. The Democrat side of Trump might be slipping out. You know, he was once a Democrat.
You know, one other thing I'll say, because he mentions the fact that I was at one point a Democrat.
And you know, the worst thing about this, the shutdown turned out to be nothing more than a strike by the Democrats and the federal workers, even though it wasn't technically called a strike, but this is what had happened. To get raises for these federal workers. Can you believe it? They get raises in here. So the government shuts down primarily because of the Democrats. Don't let anybody tell you it was strictly on Trump. It's all Trump's fault. No, the Democrats could have worked with the president, but hey, nobody works with the president unless you want to get something bipartisan done that goes against everything that the people who elected Donald Trump wanted. I mean, there are three major things that people wanted stopped when Trump was elected. One was Obamacare. Still there. And guess what? Unfortunately, looks like we're going to have to pay the fine again. So the tax bill that gave the brakes to the corporations didn't or postponed the canceling of the mandate. And now that the Democrats are back in office, you don't think that mandate's going to be plopped back in? I mean, if they don't change to a single-payer health system or try to change this country, and they'll force it down our throat because that's what they do. And they'll call it bipartisan unless no Republicans join in. And they don't care. See, the troll again was talking about bipartisan bill, bipartisan. Like that's any good. Again, we know he hasn't been listening to the show because I'm not for bipartisan. Every time bipartisan deals happen, the American people get the shaft and have to pay for it. I should say the American taxpayer. The American taxpayer who gets the shaft practically all the time. The American taxpayer wanted the debt reduced on top of the elimination, the repeal of Obamacare. They didn't get that. They wanted the debt reduced. Not going to happen. In fact, with this latest omnibus bill that President Trump signed, even though he said he wasn't, he was against raising the debt again. Well, guess what? Not only has the debt not stopped growing since Trump's been in office, but because of this bill, and what do you expect with the Democrats? They love spending the taxpayers' money, and if they need more, they'll find a way to take more from you. It's a vicious cycle. And to think this country was created because we got sick and tired. We had a revolution, because some people will not understand that little vagueness there. So we had a revolution over far less in taxation than we are currently under today. Let that soak in for a little bit. Now, the real meaning of bipartisanship, because that's the talk of the town, means Democrats win. And to prove this, where was the bipartisanship these past 2 years when the Republicans ran the House, they ran the Senate, and they had the presidency? Where was the bipartisanship? The American people clearly elected the Republicans to repeal Obamacare, to reduce the debt, not increase it, and to fix the immigration problem that we are currently under. Well, Republicans didn't do any of that. When they had the opportunity, they had 2 years with the president, would have signed anything Republican, and they couldn't get it done. They found a way to repeal Obamacare during the Obama administration, couldn't get that done because Obama vetoed it. They decided to come up with a new bill. They couldn't shelf that bill that had passed the House and the Senate. They couldn't shelf that until they got a new president. I don't know why. You tell me. So they came up with another bill that passes here, but then doesn't pass there. And you can't get it repealed then. And then you wonder, well, it was John McCain. You hear that, John McCain. Big government type guy. Well, of course. He was the stopper. Because the Democrat Party leads the country, and the Republicans are too linguini-spined, if they're not already part of that, they're infiltrating from the other side. Look at the spending Trump has just done. Is that a Republican thing to do? Why would he sign a bill that would do that? Why would he sign a bill that would do that? And on the other hand, with the Democrats and this bipartisanship, they didn't help the Republicans at all. They weren't bipartisan. In fact, they cried the entire 2 years that they didn't have any control of anything. Let's go further back. 2010, when Obamacare was implemented. It was done behind closed doors. Nancy Pelosi said, we'll read it after we signed it. Not a one Republican was included. Real bipartisan there. Real bipartisan there. And the American people spent 6 years after that, 6 years, electing Republicans to repeal the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. That was one of the primary reasons, core reasons the Republicans were elected to office, and they couldn't get it done, even when they controlled the House, even when they controlled the Senate, and the presidency all simultaneously. No deals could be done except a tax deal. We're not going to count any of the executive orders at all. The only thing major legislatively was the tax deal that gave corporations an immediate reduction in taxes, but apparently the mandate on Obamacare is delayed at very least. I mean, the repeal of the mandate is delayed because it's not happening this year. That's according to my accountant. And now that the Democrats are back in office, guess what? It's going to get put right back in. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of the broadcast, I could have took the time, if I wanted to, it would have taken a lot of time, but I could have played a montage of the past 5, 6, 7 years on the John Lebang Show. And it would be exactly what I'm telling you now. I told you this stuff would happen. I told you where it was going. They just had a Powerball winner. I'm like, why can't I be right about that? I would be much happier if I was right about winning the Powerball. All the right numbers. But I have to be right about this garbage because it's so transparent. And only a dummy or a person who's politically biased won't see it. If you're a thinking individual and you look at the current scenario, you realize it's the one-party system. run primarily by the Democrats. You replace them. See, the American people replace the Democrats because they do too much stuff that damages the core of the country. Then they elect Republicans to repeal most of that, to stop it, to get rid of it. What the Republicans do is they don't make it any worse, they just don't fix it. And then the people get sick of the Republicans being a limp-spined, do-nothing party. And in their infinite wisdom, I think this is what I said last week, in their infinite wisdom, because they don't understand this, and I saw a recent poll on MSN that made it pretty loud and clear. They were talking about the election and third parties. And the question came up, how likely are you to vote for a third party? 68% of the sheeple that voted in this poll said no. So America, you get what you get because all you're playing is a two-card Monty. Neither side is really different than the other. The only thing that happens is the Republicans don't do anything that damages the country like the Democrats do, but the Republicans will never fix it. So then we keep going in one direction. It may take longer for the Democrats, in their opinion, to get where they want to go. But the people who want that stuff repealed, and this is where I'm getting at. We want bipartisan. We want every American to be represented, right? We don't want just Democrats' views, right? You and the Democrat Party, you wouldn't just want Republican views, right? That rule the country forever? No. So if you really want bipartisanship, then you have to take into account that there is a great deal of many people in this country that want the immigration problem solved, that do not want to be forced to pay for a health care system at all. If we don't want health care coverage, we don't want it. Leave us alone. And who wants you guys to control your spending?
Don't move a muscle.
The John Lebang Show. Be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes! Does your house need a paint job, but you don't want to do it? Then call Tom at Quality One Painting. He can handle all of your interior and exterior painting needs. He gives free estimates and senior discounts. Call Tom at Quality One. 313-982-2986. That's 313-982-2986. Quality One Painting.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
All right, welcome back, folks. Let's get to a little bit of news roundup because there are other things in the news cycle that happen, and it's not all about the omnibus bill and the border crisis. They'd like you to fight about it. They'd like you to argue with your neighbors and friends and have you chewing at each other all the time. They love the troll types, the malcontents that they can send out and do their like little marionettes, and they go out on everybody's public posts and harass the living crap out of everybody. I mean, that's real good freedom there. Freedom to harass. Isn't that like bullying? That's what kills me is, it's never bullying when the left does it. It's never racism when the left does it. It's never wrong when the left does it. So in our little news roundup, Amazon, which doubled its profits and made more than $11 billion in 2018, won't pay any federal income tax for the second year in a row. This was brought up by the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy in a report they released on Monday. Hey, the company will not be required to pay a standard 21% income tax rate on its 2018 profits. Wonder how much you pay as a tax rate. But hey, let's continue. And it is claiming a tax rebate of $129 million, which the ITEP describes as a tax rate of negative 1%. Not too bad for Bezos over there. I mean, that's how you become one of the richest people, if not the richest person on the face of the planet. You don't get taxed for it. There's so many people, I know it, there are so many people that'll be mad that this guy's not paying taxes or Amazon's not paying taxes. I don't like the tax rebate. They shouldn't get money back. But I really do. I strive for all Americans to not have to pay income tax. Why should we be punished for being productive? Just me. But the policymakers, mainly Democrats, but you got some of those rhinos over there. Those people like taking your money because they can put it into pet projects. So that way they, get reelected, because that's what it's all about. Getting reelected so you can keep getting that check coming in, because these people, a lot of them, unlike Trump could go back to private life and still make a fortune. Most of these other people, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, if they didn't have the government in their past and they weren't part of the government, they probably wouldn't have amounted to very much in the private world. That's what happens with a lot of people on the left. And that's why they despise the people who work hard and make money, and that's why they want to punish you for working hard and making money. So I strive for every American to be like Mr. Bezos over there. And that's not to pay taxes. That way we can save our own money to maybe pay off that mortgage off soon. Because just think, if you didn't have that tax bill every year, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not talking about the people who get more back than they pay in. That's awful. What kind of garbage is that? That's why I don't like tax credits. The people who get the tax credits, that's nice. They love it. They love getting money from the government, even if it means it's more than they paid in. I mean, if they break even, then why even charge them for taxes at all? But if they have kids, because if they have tax credits, they probably have kids, you'd think they should pay more in taxes because their children have to go to public education. I mean, if they take them out and put them into private, then that's one thing. But I've never understood why people get tax credits for having kids when it costs more to the entire system to educate them and to have a safe environment for them. So maybe those tax credits shouldn't go out. Put all those tax credits into those schools, couldn't we? To help pay for those kids that are there. We want them to be safe and well educated, and we need more money for schools, so why not take the tax credits away from the people who have kids and let them pay for their children's schooling? That might control the population problem too. Let's move on, because I'm sure you don't want to keep talking about that. So much to talk about. We have NASA's rover finally bites the dust on Mars after 15 years. NASA's Opportunity, the Mars rover, was built to operate for just 3 months, ladies and gentlemen. But it kept going and going, rolling across the rocky red soil of Mars. It was pronounced dead on Wednesday, 15 years after landing where they said it landed. Flight controllers tried numerous times to make contact and sent one final series of recovery commands Tuesday night, along with one last wake-up song, Billie Holiday's I'll Be Seeing You. Goodbye, Mr. Mars rover. In a somber exercise that brought tears to the team members' eyes, there was no response from space, only silence. Poor Rovers dead. Opportunity roamed a record. Get this. A record. 28 miles on Mars. Good sampling. So in 15 years, we did 28 miles, so it covered not quite 2 miles a year. Okay? Roughly, Mars is 2,100 miles or so, give or take a little bit. So they covered about 1%. So everything we found on that planet has to be based on 1%. It's like the climate change people. We can't... You can't base anything on 1%. You go, okay, this is here, this is here, this is here, that we can tell. But it's like the climate change people. We've been only studying the weather for a couple hundred years. Direct temperatures and stuff like that. And they want to base climate change, which it's always happened, on a couple hundred years of data. Like that's a good enough sample to make a educated guess. A scientific theory. Now, Opportunity was a robotic geologist, they call it, equipped with cameras and instruments at the end of a mechanical arm, and every once in a while it would send us some selfies of its being out there. That was pretty interesting. I always liked how it would always take selfies of itself out there in the Mars desert. Its greatest achievement was discovering that ancient Mars had water flowing on its surface and might have been capable of sustaining microbial life. So, possibly Mars had water, although didn't we find a little ice on the moon too? So that doesn't seem to be very the final factor in life. But hey, went 28 miles in 14 years, or 15 years, not too bad. I guess the samples of it, were whatever it was, and we might have found water on Mars, and that was worth... I don't even want to look into how much this project cost. Because then you start realizing that it probably wasn't worth the effort to go there and find out the little teeny-weeny stuff that we actually learned. On the very small, less than 1% or around 1% of sample of the planet. We would need 40, 50,000 Mars rovers to go to that planet to get an actual accurate look at what Mars truly used to be or is today. We can make some guesses with all the satellites we've plopped out there. I'm all for space exploration, but sometimes you got to wonder if the things we're doing is the best things to further our space exploration, and if it's actually the most efficient and cost-effective ways of doing it. Maybe we should worry about colonizing the moon first, since it's right here, if we're worried about going anywhere. In other news, this is a good one. Iowa Democrats to take caucus to the virtual world. Gotta love it. Iowa Democrat leaders announced a new option for registered party members to take part in caucus night. The plan calls for a virtual caucus that will take place over several nights leading up to the precinct caucus that will be accessible by phone and by smartphone app. Oh, wow. The goal is to make sure that every Democrat in Iowa, regardless of physical condition, weather, job, schedule, or personal reason, has a way to help select the party's nominee for President of the United States. Because this can't be hacked any more than the Democrat Party was hacked in the 2016 election, right? And the results can't be modified any more than they were modified when Bernie was winning and somehow Hillary was chosen above him. Hillary being selected, even though Bernie was the more popular. You know, that popular vote, those Democrats claim that a lot of times, but it doesn't always, go that way. You got those super PACs and all that. They can rig an election. They can rig Hillary over Bernie, and it's not a big deal. That's fine. As long as the D's there, they're happy. But the claim that Russian hacked the election, oh, now that's a big problem. That's a big problem. Nobody has ever said that it affected the election, but that doesn't matter because if you're not a Democrat, your point of view doesn't matter. And there's no way you could have ever elected somebody legitimately because you're nobody. You're that flyover country. You're not a Democrat. You are not important. We've got to take a time out, folks. One more segment after this, so stay tuned.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back.
After this.
That's guaranteed. Yes.
At Absolute Skin and Body Care, they only use the best laser equipment in the industry so that you receive the best results possible. They'll explain all the procedures in detail and answer all of your questions. Absolute Skin and Body Care. If you're looking for skin rejuvenation, laser lipo, or laser hair removal, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Their office phone numbers are 248-305-3000. That's 248-305-3000. Absolute Skin and Body Care.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
And it's so much fun.
How do you think ABC feels right now? I mean, they had Jussie the storyteller on to tell about this fantastic story of him being attacked in a hate crime, and we're coming to find out that it was allegedly set up, and he paid his brothers to beat him up, or to an apparent beat up. Just enough to cause a little scratch here so he can go on TV. He insisted to be on TV because of the hate crime in the United States. And boy, did ABC show how well and how credible their news agency is, that they give an interview to a guy that was telling a big old story that had no factual truth that he set up. I mean, it gets even better because the entire left-wing media jumped on this story like you wouldn't believe. They were all over it, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to let you hear what the left-wing mainstream media was telling you about this without checking their facts. So they were reporting fake news, and we've caught them many times in the past, but today we're going to exhibit another example of it. Get this montage.
Beaten with a noose around his neck and hospitalized. Empire star Jussie Smollett was the victim of a vicious, racist, and homophobic attack.
His attackers hurled racial and homophobic slurs.
Two people yelled racist and homophobic slurs.
Racial and homophobic slurs.
Not only homophobia, we're talking about racism. We're talking about hate with steroids.
They are looking for two suspects who were apparently wearing Make America Great Again hats.
The offenders uttered, "This is MAGA country."
The hate crime went down early this morning in Chicago.
Officials are investigating the alleged assault as a hate crime.
And now police say they're investigating this as a possible hate crime.
Anyone attacked in a hate crime like this is an outrage.
This is stomach-turning, mind-boggling information. It's out of control.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi tweeting the racist, homophobic attack on Jussie Smollett is an affront to our humanity.
And Senator Cory Booker said the vicious attack on actor Jussie was an attempted modern-day lynching.
Kamala Harris calling the attack an attempted modern-day lynching.
But I'm so shaken by the story. This is horrible to report. This is a horrible story. This is a horrible story.
Yeah.
I mean, the circumstances are just horrific.
Horrendous and unacceptable.
Absolutely despicable.
Yeah, a lot of people can't believe this is actually happening in 2019.
It's hard to believe that we're reporting, that we're even saying words like this in 2019.
And this is America in 2019.
And it was all fake news, ladies and gentlemen. Complete fake news. The mainstream credible media jumped right on this story because it fit the narrative that they have been building for years in this country. And they were going to use it as an opportunity to showcase their point of view. And it came back to bite them in the butt because, one, they didn't check. So now they have egg on their face. All of them have egg on their face. They have no credibility. ABC has none. CNN has none. MSNBC has none. E! Entertainment. All of them. Done. And I'm surprised anybody would give these guys credibility at this point. I mean, CNN has falling ratings. I can understand that more people are going away from that organization because they're just awful at what they do. Or they're good at what they do, but they're awful at reporting factual news. They have a bias completely tilted to the left. And that's not journalism. What happened here wasn't journalism. So the fake news does it again. And they're not gonna get blocked on Facebook. Their articles are not gonna get blocked where they're gonna get a little symbol say these people have reported fake news in the past. I can guarantee you that there's gonna be no blocking of this information or any future information from the organizations that reported the fake news without checking the source to make sure they validated everything that the person was saying. They believe them. They believe Jussie, the storyteller, and now they got egg on their face. And as a independent voice in all this, I just have to smile. Because I do a better job of checking my sources than these guys do. Of course, they have a lot more people listening to them and spreading their propaganda. Notice they haven't talked very much about that Steele dossier and how it was all fabricated by the Clintons. And that's what the Russian probe was all based on, and that's how they got the FISA warrant, and that's how they got all these people indicted on things that don't really have to do with anything with the election in Russia. The worst thing close to the election is they paid off a couple of prostitutes or porn stars or hookers, and they try to keep them quiet for having, some fun with the president. Now here's some real news for you. Senior FBI officials scrambled to protect Hillary Clinton at all costs in the days running up to the 2016 presidential election, a batch of new emails have shown. Now, why isn't that in the mainstream media? Because that's provable. That's factual. Guess they don't want to talk about that. But we will. The FBI email threads show that the Bureau's highest-ranking officials doing everything in their power to appease Hillary Clinton's team. As reported by Fox News, the trove of documents turned over by the FBI in response to a lawsuit by the transparency group Judicial Watch also included discussions by former FBI lawyer Lisa Page concerning a potential quid pro quo between the State Department and the FBI, in which the FBI would agree to effectively hide the fact that Clinton's email was classified in exchange for more legal attaché positions that would benefit the FBI abroad. Real news. The quid pro quo would have involved the FBI providing some other public reason for withholding the Clintons' email from disclosure amid a Freedoms of Information Act request besides its classification level. But there are no indications that the purpose arrangement ever took place. Why? Well, I can tell you why. Because Clinton didn't win. Couple more things. House votes to halt aid for Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen. Hey, good job, Democrats. I'm off. That's one thing I'm okay with. We shouldn't be sending money anywhere, but I'm sure they will take that money and not send it to the president to build the wall. They'll do it. They'll send it somewhere else. Let's see. Judge rules Paul Manafort lied in violation of plea deal. Now, you have to get beyond the headline to understand what actually happened here. But most people will just read the headline and go, oh, he lied. He's lying about Russia. Well, Paul Manafort lied to investigators about his contacts with an associate the FBI had linked to Russian intelligence despite agreeing to the plea deal requiring him to tell prosecutors what they wanted to hear. And so off to jail you go. Great justice system, more like just us. We got Madeline Halfbright lecturing us about what fascism is. Let's not talk about your party, Madeline. Your party is the party that sends people out to restaurants to harass people while they're having dinner. Your party is out there while people are going to a Trump rally and trying to beat them up. That's what your party's about. So before you talk about fascism, I'd take that microscope and probably turn it inward on the party that you represent. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, one last thing about this national emergency, and then we got to get on out of here. And it's simple as this. This whole thing could have been averted if there was true bipartisanship when the Republicans had the power. When the Republicans owned the House, the Senate, and the presidency, all this could have, should have been taken care of. But the Republicans chose to punt it down the road for some reason, to put it back into the hands of the Democrats. A whole lot of Republicans got out in that last election. There might have been a reason for that. Who knows? But that's it for this hour of the John Lebang Show. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Please go to my website. That's www.jlebang.com. If you've missed any portion of this broadcast, or if you want to catch maybe an archive of a prior show, it's all there for your listening pleasure. Want to thank all of my affiliate stations for carrying the John Lebang Show. And with that being said, until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again.
T-minus 10.
I'm John
9,
Lebang, signing off
7, 6,
from the Banger
5,
Studios.
4,
See you
3,
next week.
2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.
Resistance